Okay. Keynote. So this morning I will show you what's new in 1.7 and also what will be new in next versions, all the next versions, what I think should be new next versions. Lots of things to see today. Performance, because we all care about performance. All the improvements we've made in the existing modules, all the new modules, what modules we have integrated into the core, and then what's for the future. First, performance. So if I take a new vanilla application in 1.7, first thing you will notice is that it takes less memory. On a vanilla or chart setup, it takes 15% less. And in terms of speed, you get 10% faster responsive. This is mostly due because we removed clay in 1.7. So if you've used Orchard as of today, it's using clay. Clay is a library to make dynamic objects malleable. Like you can add behaviors to dynamic objects. And this library is wonderful, but is slowing the process because the more you do, the less performant it is. And clay is very nice because you can customize objects dynamically. At first, it doesn't know anything. The object doesn't know anything. You just add behaviors. And but with Orchard, we already know what behaviors we want. We have the zone behavior. We have the interface behavior. We had some behaviors from clay, and instead of adding them dynamically, we refactored it and made it as hard-coded. So it now has hard-coded behaviors, like clay would do, but now statically. So it's a statically behavioral dynamic object. And the advantage is that there is no more runtime dynamic proxy to create, and it takes less memory and it's faster to render. So just this change should at least show 15% less memory and 10% less faster answers time. And sometimes you might see more than that. You will. Another change in performance that has been done mostly by Piotr is refactoring the event handlers by caching which method to call for each event. The event handler is a bus in Orchard, which lets you call external services just by a name of an interface and a method. So you don't have coupled modules. And this thing has been refactored to make it faster, so it also helps for the fast response time. And finally, we have changed how the import of the import-export module works so that you can import lots of data very fast. In the previous versions, in the current one actually, if you import, for instance, a file of 2 megabytes of XML document of content items, it might fail because there is a timeout or memory exception, things like that. With the new implementation, it won't be an issue. The idea is that instead of loading the whole database, it's just loading what it needs. That's the simple idea. And this thing was provided by an external contribution, and I don't remember the name of who did it. I think it's Damien something. Sorry, I couldn't find it. So this is all for performance. So this slide is just a set of bullet points to describe everything which has been improved. Lots of new features, but actually I will show it to you. Demo, improvements to existing modules. Okay, and I go to the dashboard. So the first thing I want to show you is something you saw from Sipke yesterday in the modules tab. I hope you see everything. Yes. If I go now to the recipe tab, you can see those things, those recipes which come from existing modules. So now recipes can be inside modules. So if I take the search module, there's a recipe folder with this thing. What it does here is setting up the search module, the listen module, and then adding the index part to the pages and blog posts, and executing some commands, so creating a new index named search and editing it. So the idea is that before, in 1.6, if you wanted a search engine, you need to enable the indexing module, the search module, the listing module. Then you might have had to create some configuration for the content types you had to include in your index. So this is already handled by this recipe. And by the way, you saw yesterday there was no notification. So it's live, fixing. There is now a notification when it's done. The recipe search was executed successfully. And if I go here, you see that there is a search, the indexes module which has been enabled. So if I look at indexes, I can see my index. And what's new also with 1.7 is that you don't only have one index search index now. You can have multiple search indexes. So the default one is the search, which is created by this recipe. And I could create another one. I could say create an index called news. And the goal is that you could define what will go in each index. So if I create a new content type named news, and no, what did I do? Okay, just create a new content type. Great. And I add a title, a body, and auto route, the standard stuff. Save. I will add a field text called teaser. And now what I can do with the new search module, search improvements, I can define in which indexes this content type will be. So it can be in the search index. Search is just common index. But by default, I set up in the recipe that the search form will use the search index. And okay, I don't want my news to return by my search index. I just want it in the news index. So if I hit, okay, let's add it for the two of them, just for the search first. I hit save, and if I go to indexes and update my search, oh, I have no news. I will create a news. Okay, publish, indexes, update, and I have two documents, my home page and my news. And here, I still have nothing. But if I go to content definition, and I say also add the news inside the news index, and I update it, now it's there too. And you can see, oh, because there is no value. So if I edit some value here, in the teaser, it doesn't find my value. It should be there. Well, let's say there is a teaser value inside the index. It should be there. So that's what's new in for search. What we have also is the new projection layouts. So the idea with the projection layouts, if I do a query to return all my news, so I just add a filter. If you don't know what I'm showing, you don't know our charm. Everyone's crying right now. So news, and I can add a sort criteria and a new layout. So what's new here, for every one of you, is the row and shape layouts. So grid is just table-like, HTML list is a ULLI. Row is a way to define a list, but where you can set custom tags for everything. For the big container, for each item, for intersection, for separators between the items. You can also add some text before and after each item. And this is custom HTML, and you can also use the tokens. So this one is very simple, and might be useful too. And the other new one is a shape layout. This one will just take a display type and a shape type. So if I just say shape type all news, so it's a shape type, I save and I create a projection. I will call it all news. And I will take this one, show on the menu, all news, save. So I have a projection, and if I display it, boom, okay? Why? Because it's looking for a shape. Because I said, create a layout based on the shape. So if I go to the website and the theme, and I create a new file called all news, because that's how I call my shape, and I edit it, for instance, foo. Now I have something. Okay, foo. But what you want here is to be able to browse all the content items written by the query. So here I could say for each dynamic content item in model dot content items, I can say content item, let's do that, HTML.item display text content item, and this has to be casted as a orchard.content management dot content item, something like this. And you see here I have a news one, the title, which lets me actually create the exact HTML I want here. This is the title. And for instance, let's say you use Bootstrap. And you want a new row attribute for each of your news, but you can do it like that. And you have exactly what you need. This here, class row in div. So it's a way to project a query result to the shape you want and to render exactly what you want. So it's kind of a PHP-like way of developing. You do a query, you project it to a shape, and the shape contains everything you want to render. So very useful layout. So this is new. What else do we have? Was something I need to show you here. Yes. So there is a new module which is the C# scripting, and with that module there is a validation script feature which adds a C# or a validation part. So if I go now to my news content type and I add the part named script validation. By the way, you will notice all those nice descriptions. The feature has been provided by Sitke. Save. And now in my part, I can customize it for my teaser. This is a way to execute some C# code whenever a content item has to be validated. So here I could say if, and here it tells you what variable you have access to. So I have access to the current content item, so I can say if content item. It's dynamic.news.teaser.value. So this is the value of my teaser. I will convert it to a string for two reasons. Because first it's dynamic, and the second reason is that if it's null, the converter to string will return an empty string. So I can say .length is greater than, or yes, is greater than 140, for instance. So if my teaser is bigger than 140 characters, I will render a model error, so add model error. This is the same development API that you have in controllers, for instance, and the T to translate. And here I say the teaser is too big or too long. Okay? And it should be a string closed, and I save it. And now when I create a new news 2, and if I say, oh, I should have used a big one, a big text box, I create lots of content, I save, the teaser is too long, okay? And if I remove everything and the small one, I save, it works. So you have your own custom logic without having to create modules and crazy stuff.
How would you do that in code?
In code, you would create custom part that you can attach, or well, there are multiple ways to do that. If you don't want reusability, you create a content handler which will intercept the editor update method, and you just check that the value is whatever you want, and you return also add model error. So it's a custom event handler. There must be lots of other ways, but I'm so focused that I follow. Ask Sipke on the forum. What is it? Okay. What else? Oh, shape menu items. So same logic as for the shape layout. In the navigation now, we have a new kind of thing, which is a shape link. It's a way to add a new menu item. For instance, my custom link. This is just the name of the menu item, not the text which is displayed. Because to display the menu item itself, we can provide a shape. Like for instance, my custom menu item. This is the name of a shape. I save, and it's an item inside my navigation. It's called shape link, and it's, what did I say? My custom menu item. So if I go to my theme and create a shape called my custom menu item.cs HTML, and I create a link here. It's okay. And I go to my website. This thing is exactly what I typed in my shape, which can be a huge menu item. Example, whitehouse.org.gov. Those big menus here. If they are complex, including, I don't know, queries or whatever you want, calling custom services, you can do that now. You just insert the menu item based on the shape, and the shape contains all the logic to render the thing. Okay? This. What else? New token syntax. So the idea is that when you have scripts in your fields which are tokenized, there might be some conflicts. So for instance here, let's say that Orchard is a perfect tool and lets you use tokens here. And actually I don't remember if I made it, because there is no tokens here. It doesn't mean that it's not tokenizable. If I wanted a token here, actually, well, currently it would be something like content.something.foo, okay? The issue with that is when the tokenizer will see this code, it will think that, oh, this is a new token. It won't work, because the tokens are incompatible with the C# syntax. So in 1.7, there is a new preferred way to inject tokens, which is the dash, the hash bound content foo, which in the end will be taken if it's there, and the rest won't be taken as token. So this is a new way to inject tokens. This is a preferred way, but it's still compatible with the old one. So if there is a conflict, just use this thing, and it will work. So this is a new improvement. And I think there is also as new feature, the threaded comments. I won't show it to you. It's a way to create comments and replies to comments. And the reCAPTCHA is also now compatible with it. There is also new anti-spam features for that, but not something I want to show you. It's very simple. So this was the new one. So we also have integrated some new modules. The taxonomies module, that, I don't know, it was not displayed yesterday. There are new things also with the new taxonomies module in 1.7. I have changed some templates, how it's rendered, to make it easier to theme the taxonomies results, because it was not easy. And congrats if you used it before. Now it should be simpler. There are some other templates changes in the pagination, but simple things which it's compatible with the previous version, so it won't break anything, but just new simple things to tweak the template for pagination. And finally, the output cache module, with also some new feature in this one, to invalidate by query string, but nothing important. But the idea is that anyone should use taxonomies and anyone should use output cache. If you don't, there is an issue. If you don't have any reason to use taxonomies, there is an issue in your website. You should use it. There's always a reason to do that. But maybe someone will show you something. No? Definitely no, you won't. It's not useful. Okay. Now the new modules. So a bunch of new modules, the workflows, which I will show you. C# scripting, I already showed you. Media library, which comes also with the image editor module and the media processing. Workflows is to create workflows. A workflow is a custom logic that you can apply to anything in our chart. This is a new module which is not enabled by default, so I'm just going to enable it. Who here has not seen workflows in our chart? Okay, half of you. So it's enabled, and Sipke is so generous that he made a little icon for the workflows. There's nothing to do, just icons. So here I click and I can create a new workflow definition. A workflow definition will contain the logic of your workflow. So I will just call it all news should be approved first. Save. And this module comes with a set of activities. Activities can be events and tasks. An event will be waiting for something to happen. A task will just execute something and go on based on outcomes, because an event and a task can have multiple outcomes. So a simple example I will show you is that when I drag and drop this content created item, you see here the little lightning which says it's an event. And when I click, I have a contextual menu which says, okay, let's make this event a start state of the workflow. This will start the workflow. And I can edit its properties. This item asks for a type which has been created. So I'll say every time a news is created, I will start the workflow. And what I just want to do, I will show you all the activities later, I just want to notify the user that something happened. So I will just say, information, warning, news has been created. It's just a message. Okay, I save it. And if I create a new news 3, yes, less than 140, I save. A news has been created. Okay, and my content is there, nothing special. But now what I want to do is an approval workflow. So okay, I will change the notification to say the news will be approved soon. So that the user who creates this new news will know that, okay, it's not published because, well, theoretically you will remove the rights from the user to publish directly. You will just be able to save. and it will still trigger the workflow. But I'm a site admin, so I can't publish. So you see the button. So let's suppose I can't publish. Then what I want to do is ask for a user task. This user task is an event. So it's an event in a workflow, which leads me to say that workflows in Orchard 1.7 are long-running workflows. They can stop at some point and wait for days, ages, and continue later when the event is hit. So here I can say, okay, you can wait as long as you want, but when the user, who is an administrator, or any other role you want, will either accept or reject it, or, I don't know, later, or no, whatever you want. Just say accept, reject. It will happen something. So after notification, I'm waiting for a user task. And if the user, the administrator, rejects it, what will I do? Send an email. Okay. So this is accept. I will send an email to the author of the content item. It's a fake email, okay? Let's suppose it will be sent and with content that is meaningful. And then go back to approval. And if it's accepted, I will publish, well, the workflow will publish the content item. Okay? And we could also display a message saying, okay, let's send an email. An email to the author saying, the content has been published, blah, 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 okay? Save. So now it's saved, and I won't receive emails at the end, configure those emails and the email sender. So if I create a new news item and I say news 4, I hit save, this news will be approved soon, okay? And if I go to content, I see that there is one running workflow on my news item. And it's not published, it's published if I click the button, because I have the rights to that. But now, let's say I'm an administrator. I should see accept, reject, okay? But I don't, because I'm not an administrator. I'm a site owner, I'm not an administrator. So I will change this is an audit in Orchard. You are site owner, you are not administrator, okay? So now I am an administrator, and if I go back to the content and I edit it, I can see accept, reject, okay? So as an administrator, I can say accept. And what happens is now there is no more running workflow, and the content is published, okay, like I said. And if I create a new one, just to show you something, news 5, because now I'm an administrator, I will see directly the accept, reject, and you see it can be anything. One button, as many buttons as you want. And all those buttons will trigger different outcomes in the workflow, so you can do whatever you want. And here, so I saved. If I go to content, you see there is one running workflow. And one might ask, what is the state of the workflow, what it is waiting for, because it can be multiple things. So as a site owner, you could say, okay, let me check. You go, edit. You click on the workflow, running workflow, and you see, oh, this is a workflow named all news should be approved first, because the same content item could be running into different workflows. And then you say, oh, give me the status. And here you see the workflow and where it's waiting. Okay? So you know, oh, it's waiting for a user to do what? To accept or reject. Oh, let me call the administrator. He didn't do that. Okay.
So, what happens if you edit the workflow in progress?
If I edit the workflow, good luck. It might work. It should work.
So if you're in a state,
it just knows the state of the workflow, which means if you change the arrows or new items, it should still work. If what you do is incompatible, it might be in a non-ending process, but you can still delete the workflow instance. If you go here, you can say, okay, cancel the workflow. Okay, that's a backup thing. So let me now.
But the content still exists.
Yes, it's just deleting the workflow instance. The workflow instance is just the state of the workflow, and yeah, you don't want to delete content items. Might be an option to say this workflow is linked to content items, but no, not yet. There are so many things we can do with workflow, and you will have more ideas than that. I will just show you what you can do with, okay? And let me show it to you. And after you can go crying and everything. And you see here in the workflow definition, I can see that one instance of this workflow definition is running. Okay, I will edit the workflow. I won't run it just to show you what you can do with that. So it's better if you have a big screen. Let's say what you want to do is, if the user is only a country, no, that's not what I want to do. There is an activity named isInRole. And isInRole, if the user is isInRole contributor, then notify that the content item will be approved. And otherwise, just do nothing, because you don't need other than contributor to go into the workflow process. Okay, let's say that. Then instead of just asking directly for a user task, you could say, I want a branch, an exclusive branch. A branch here is to split the workflow into different running activities. So you could have multiple living branches. But here I want an exclusive branch, which will say the first event to happen after this branch will take over the flow. So here I just say, oh no, it was, so there are some bugs. Yeah, it happens. Oops, yes, branch, and my branch I want to say user, okay, this one is good. User action or timeout. I'm just, timeout. So I'm just here creating new outcomes, different branches. So if it's a user action, I will go there, let's say. And I could say a timeout also. Timeout is timer. And I could say a branch which will trigger a user action and or a timeout. And the timeout here will be, for instance, 3 days. And after timeout, we can send an email to the administrator because they have to validate the content. And if the timeout triggers first, it means that the admin hasn't approved or rejected the thing, okay? Because it's an exclusive branch. So I will send an email to the administrator, I could say site admin, okay? Or other, blah, blah, blah. And when it's done, I can go back to the exclusive branch to wait again for a timer, 3 days, or the administrator to validate, okay? So you can do things like that, as complex as that. Other events you have is close comments. For instance, you could start when a content item is published, and after 30 days, with a timeout, you will close comments on it, okay? 3 clicks, drag and drop, boom. You can intercept when the content is published, remove version. You can execute some C# code, like I showed you with the same technique as the validation part. You can delete the content. For instance, after 30 days, if the content is not approved, delete it. Exclusive branch I just showed you is isInRole. Merge branch is in the case that you have started a new branch with a lot of living activities. For instance, different workflows. There is one workflow starting for translation. We are also waiting for approval and waiting for a Sunday to come. And when all of the 3 of them are valid, then we merge them to a branch, which means it's just waiting for all branches to be done and continue the workflow. Notify is to just write notification, publish. So it redirect is to redirect the user to a new page. This is done by Seeker, so I don't know if it works. Send email. Timer, you saw it, user types to it, now signal and web request. Signal is like in the cache, it's just an event waiting for a name token to be triggered. Okay, so it works with trigger. So if I do a signal here, it will wait for someone to send a trigger, a name trigger. So in one workflow, imagine you have 2 workflows which are dependent. How to make this dependency is in one workflow you put a signal which is waiting for a name trigger. And in the other workflow, when you arrive at some point, you trigger this name. And this one will take, oh, the name foo is triggered, so I can continue. So you can make workflow be dependent from one to each other, okay? And the other way to do that is to use this wonderful task. This is wonderful because I had this wonderful idea, and Sipke made a common implementation of this. The idea is that with this event, you can send a web request to an external service. So during the workflow, you can execute a web service, for instance, or another software as a service website call. And what you can put inside is a callback token. And I don't remember the name of the token. It's something like trigger URL. This token will generate a URL that your external service can call when it's done. And this URL is in Orchard and will signal something inside Orchard. Example, you have a workflow with media. You publish a video, okay? Because the media is a content item, we will see that. You can have a workflow for it and say, okay, let's call an external web service like Zencoding or Azure Media Services to say, process my video. And when you're done, execute this callback. And this callback is on my website. And your workflow has a signal activity which will wait for the trigger of this callback. So when the external website is done, it can ask you to continue the workflow and like publish the content item because it processed the video. Okay, so you can now have B2B communications with just this thing. Another idea is, for instance, you know, on GitHub or Codeplex, you have triggers when you push a commit. You can ask Codeplex or GitHub to execute some URL, the ping URL, ping back URL. Same thing, you can provide this URL and it will tell Orchard that something has been pushed, for whatever reasons. So it enables lots of scenarios. And everything here is extensible, which means you want a new activity, just create a new class inheriting from task or event. Let me show you, it's very simple. It's simpler than simple. Yeah?
How would you do that from code? I mean, is there an API?
Yes. There is no documentation because it's Orchard, but you can look at the code. No, you have the choice, good documentation and good modules. If you want, I can give you good documentation for a module which doesn't exist, or you could have both, but no, sorry. So activities you see here, pick one which looks like what you want to do and change it. For instance,
No. I don't want to know how to set up a workflow from code.
No. Why? Okay, yes, you can. It's just a workflow is a set of records. Well, the definition and the workflow, I think the definition. The workflow definition is a set of activities, descriptors, which link to other activities. It's a graph. And in Orchard, it's a set of records. So it's not documented, but yes, doable. It's just creating the object graph in database. It should be simple. And when you have time, you can create a documentation page for that. But I think you will be the only one interested, so. And our friend will do some unit tests for that also. You? Not functional test, unit test, okay? Or integration test, okay? Because there are no tests, but it works. Okay. Now the next module I want to show you, isn't it awesome? If I had to demo it by myself, I have something to show. Don't have time. Then what I want to show you is, don't pee in your pants, okay? Because people have to work after. The new module I want to show is the media module, media library. So now the media library, because it's a vanilla on 1.7, is set up by default. Who has not seen the media library yet? Same ones, I'm sure. You don't care, I just came here. It was not expensive, I live in Amsterdam, so let's go. So the media library, what do I have to show you? Yes, so here is the recent link. There is no recent media here. And I have the media folder. And if I click on a folder, I can import, create a folder, or edit folders. let's create a new folder named bunnies, because I love bunnies. Mustard sauce, bunnies à la mustard sauce. Okay. That's really good. But the issue is in the US, you can't find rabbit. In your garden, okay. And I will import some media. So I can import here, also, this is really good here. So I can choose from different sources for my media. First, my computer. If I can click, drop files or paste image. Okay, let's click, and let's take some animals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm hitting the control key here to select multiple ones. And if I click open, it will send it to the server asynchronously. Okay, so if it's a far away server, it will take some time, but you can send multiple items at the same time. And okay, let's close it. And here in my media folder, I have those 5 items. And if I browse, you see, they are not there, they are there, there. I can select them by clicking on them. I can control-click them to select multiple items. I can right-click to select and select. Can I tap? I can tap on the screen. By chance, I just works, okay. And I can edit the media, okay. And editing the media is editing the content item behind it, which means it has a title, a caption, and alternate text. They are default values for a media. And obviously, I can add custom properties. So let's go to the image content type and add a property, a field, a text field, called copyright, or whatever you want, a taxonomy. And let's make it a wide text area, and it's called copyright, so it's okay. So now if I go to my media items, and I edit one, I have a copyright here, which means I can reuse it when I display my media, okay? So now if I am in the recent tab, you see I can also filter things by title or whatever. What is weird here is that, oh, because, okay, and just for Beatrice, it's responsive. You see the image goes down and up, but I'm missing something. Where is it? I'm sad. Did I break something? There should be an overlay here. It was there this morning. Yeah, that's why maybe that's the reason. That's weird. Responsive doesn't work. It should. Maybe it's the resolution. I don't know. Yeah, that's it. That's the resolution. I have a small resolution. And if I edit and I say my tiger here, save, it goes back and the tiger in second position. Oh, it's in the last position because it's a T. The tiger is here. And this one is 7, so it's the first. So you can order by whatever you want. You can also, let's say that this tiger is a nice bunny. You can move it to bunnies. Yeah, okay, I was in recent, okay. So if I go now in media, it is no more there, and in bunnies, it's there. So if I go in media, and the dog in bunnies, it goes there, and I can select everything, and when I move, I see 3 bunnies here. So everyone is in bunnies now. I can move them back. So you can organize your media by folders. So I go back to, okay, those are not bunnies. I will import bunnies. So to import bunnies, oh, by the way, in my computer, I can go there, pictures, animals, and I can drag and drop also. It also works. And let's say you are a blogger and you want to show some code. You do an alt print screen or a screenshot. You go there, you do Control V, and boom, it's imported. Okay? So if you blog, it's very easy to now include it. And if you create a new page, and you want to insert an image inside your body, you can just select it. Select, and it's in your body. And now, the other importers, I go into bunnies, import, and I will do a web search. The web search is a way to look for media items on the web. I need a key, which is here. This is my key. To get keys, you go to the media settings, web search, you type your key. If you don't have a key, you click on this link. It's free for less than 5,000 search per month. So it should be okay. It's a Bing search. And here I say import. Okay, no, I will close. I want to go into bunnies, import, web search, bunnies. You got bunnies, you select the ones you want. You've got you see the overlay here? You got the information about what you need to know. I say import, and again, asynchronously, it will push all those images to your server. Isn't it beautiful? Simple didn't do it. You didn't do anything on the media. So I can close, and now in my bunnies, I have all my bunnies. Okay? So it works. Other thing you can do is a media URL. So you can import media from a URL. Let's say you go on YouTube, and you look for bunnies. And this one is nice, okay. And I want to import my YouTube video. I click, I select the URL. No. Paste, import. And because it's a website compatible with the embed protocol, I can just import it. And it's in my media as a YouTube video. And I have the thumbnail here. If I click preview, it goes on the website where it was taken. But if I create a new page and I inject it in my body, it's injected the player for YouTube. Okay? It works with Vimeo, Flickr, whatever is compatible with OEmbed. And it works, play. And because it's a content item, you can have custom properties on it and render whatever you want. Just override the shape or change the shape, which is by default for rendering an OEmbed video. It's very simple. Another thing I want to show you, oh, by the way, everything here is extensible. Those three things are just a specific implementation of a dedicated service, like a media importer. So the goal is to have one for a SkyDrive. So you click on SkyDrive and you can browse your own SkyDrive and import videos from there. Or from Flickr, you type your Flickr credentials for your company, and everyone can share all the Flickr images from our chart. So you can do whatever you want. There are multiple ideas to do that and to implement if you want, and they are on the discussion forums. Last thing is the image editor. So if I go to modules and enable the image editor, go back to, I click 2 times, to media, I click on my bunnies, like this bunny. No, this one is huge, okay. You see here, now there is image editor. Because our chart is awesome, you can inject anything where you want. So this module just injecting the button in the summary view of a media, which is there in a specific zone for this. So you can inject whatever you want. And if I click on image editor, I see my big image, okay, and I want first to crop it. And because I can crop, I can select something like that, apply it, okay, it's cropped. Then I want to resize it because it's still too big, 640 by 400. I want a 320 by 200, okay? And then I want to apply a filter, for instance, more brightness, okay? No, too bright. Okay, let's cancel. And, oh, I want to use a preset like Instagram things, okay, this one. Or this one. Apply, save, my media is updated, is now 320 by 200 is what I want, okay? And I can include it directly into my body. And same thing, when you go to the image editor, those things, they are completely extensible. So you can add anything you want based on modules. It's very easy. No documentation. You can't do it by code, and you can do unit test. But it's in JavaScript, so I would say the full thing is in JavaScript and Canvas. So that's it for media. And also media filters, media processing, filters, media processing. Profiles. Media profile is a way to So we talked about it at the last conference, but it was not done, it was just a demonstration. It has been done by someone from the community. I don't remember. So the way media profiles work is a way to apply filters to media. For instance, let's say I want to do a filter called thumbnails or thumbnail, okay, save. And here you can add steps. So I want to add a new filter, like format the image into PNG, save, and then after resize it to use cropping 100 by 100 and crop on the middle center with this padding color, save. So this is a filter, and then look at that. If you write this text in your views, like display media URL, profile, thumbnail, and the URL of your media item, of your file, whatever it is, it will apply those steps to your media and save it to the disk, okay, and like cache it. So you can automatically have thumbnails for any image you want. And this is when you want to make them step by step, but there is also a way to do that with a simple, it's not documented here, it's on the, I can demo it to you. It's used in the media, so let me show you. You see those items here? They are all at the same size, cropping the original image, and it's fast, okay? So how it's done is, in the view of this page, it's just going display dot resize image with a set of parameters, and it's internally using creating a temporary filter to resize those images. So you don't even need to create media profiles if you don't want to, just for resizing. I don't have the time to deal with it because I'm already late by 10 minutes. So this is for the media. And the last thing I want to talk about is the future. This was a demo. What's next? What's in our chart next? First, there will be a 171 to fix all the bugs, or most of the bugs you found in 1.7. Because new feature means new bugs. I already know some bugs. So there will be soon a release for 1.71. We would like to work also on the default theme. This is something which has been discussed for the last 2 versions, and at some point it will arrive. But it depends on how much work we can do. So we would like a new default theme for our chart instead of the vanilla one, make something more beautiful that's engaging, so that people want to install our chart by default, because it's beautiful. It's useless, but it's beautiful, let's install it. Okay. An improved admin theme, so we all discussed about Bootstrap on the admin might be a solution to also be able to customize the admin theme. The admin theme is nice today, but needs more love. A page layout builder, so you could create new placed content pages where it's like widgets, but not widgets, where the content is owned by the page. So you would create your own layout dynamically and place content snippets, not content items, where you want on the page, because some users want that. It's a missing feature. Content deployment, we talked about it yesterday. It's about reusing the import-export module to push content from one instance to another. Localization improvements, so Zoltan will show you localization this afternoon, but there are some things we need to do in the admin to make it simpler for filtering content items for each local. And maybe a new orchard website, because the current one is, there's lots of content and documentation on it, so very useful. But it could be more beautiful and engaging again. So with bunnies and puppies, people install it. That's proven. And new gallery implementation, because our gallery is 2 years old, and we want a new way of working with modules, more automatic way. So you don't have to do anything, just push your code with a tag, and we see it and we import it as new modules. And also a way for the users to say when a module works with each version of our chart. They just say, oh, it doesn't work on my machine, and we have a statistic, and we can say from the gallery that this doesn't work on 1.6, or this doesn't work on 1.7. So you know it based on the community feedback. Some ideas. Conclusion, Torchart is faster, it could not be slower, better, new updates into modules, and stronger because we have shiny new modules like the workflow and the media library. Question?
Hi. It's just to come back to the video support in the media library.
I always forget.
I'm just wondering if you can upload your own videos and what format are supported and stuff like that.
Everything, yes, everything, sure. Media, I didn't print my script. Import, my computer, click, videos, this one, you see, asynchronous, boom, boom, boom. This is a video, close, it's here, and I can play it in the preview. And I can insert it. Okay?
Thank you.
And same thing for pictures, music. Oh. Close, music, play. Same. And same thing for my computer, import, desktop, Keynote, PowerPoint. Oh, it's a document. I don't know what it is. Close. And I can't hit play. There is no music in the PowerPoint, so. Okay. So yes, everything. And if you, for instance, you go to the recent, you see everything here. Okay. And oh, and by the way, this is everything. There is a infinite scrolling also, and you can click on it and say just I don't want to see my images or just my video. And you can filter things like that. I also want to add here text block with search because we have search indexes and we'll say index all everything this is media. So you can search into the media.
More questions?
Don't ask if I have thousands of content items, how does it behave? Okay.
In the area of scripting that you showed us, the C# scripting feature, do you have any plans on enhancing scripting capabilities? Because Bertrand mentioned yesterday that you are thinking of some things in scripting.
He was thinking about implementing the lightweight scripting that is used today into the C# scripting. So you can use the C# scripting instead of the Ruby-like syntax.
Oh, okay.
Which is very simple to do, but yeah, time. You can do it. So the way the solution is then when you enable the C# scripting, you can use it in your layers and everywhere that the current script is used.
More questions?
Is possible to localize messages notifications in workflow, or we can load them at emails or some similar?
So what is localizable is everything I type, the outcomes like accept, reject, done, yes, no, are localized strings, so you can. The notification message, no, I think what he's mentioning, I'm just checking because it's very easy to check actually. So if I go to the notification activity and I see what is rendered when the execute method is called, is T of message. How clever is it? Which means yes, you can customize what you type.
Very good.
And by the way, you see how to make a notification activity. You just implement task, inherit from task, and here you give it a name, a category, a description. If you need a form, the name of the form, what are the possible outcomes, so it's very easy, and then what to do when the activity is hit. Here I'm just saying, give me from the form the state called notification, message, and notify. Done. And you can also customize the little icon which is inside. There is a dedicated alternate for the shape. Simple questions.
Sebastien, one of the classic problems with several workflow engines has been that when you have a trigger on update and you trigger a workflow, that workflow updates the item and that triggers the workflow. What about cycling support for stopping a kind of kind of, I guess, overloading the system.
I have to test it. Oh,
We'll get some documentation for it.
no, I see the point.
It's a classic, SharePoint was absolutely riddled with that problem.
So let's say we are as good as SharePoint first, and maybe better. Try it and open a bug, I'll see. I don't know if there is a solution actually.
Maybe the first one would be to actually test if a workflow is running or that an instance of that type within your workflow.
Okay, that would be possible, yeah, maybe to, and yeah, actually it's doable because in the, for instance, content activity in the update, in the execute, can execute, we can test, okay, but is it a running workflow already? If not, then do nothing, because there is this logic, there's a filter to enter, this is a can execute. Before the execute, there is a can execute. Can I execute that for any logic, any reason? And maybe it doesn't work, but it should be doable. Yeah, okay. 171.
One more question.
Instead of a notification after a workflow item is done, can I also redirect to another, to create another content part?
Creating a new content
Part.
part?
So you go, you get a notification from this part is done, but then you redirect to another, please make another part.
This part is done. This part, I'm confused because part is used so many ways in our channel. I don't get the question.
So you want to create a document layout with 4 or 5 areas.
Okay.
And when one item is done, one area is done, you want to let the content creator show that he has to make another.
But the question is, how will we do those zones in our channel? If there are, for instance, widgets or different content items, there is a mismatch between how we can do those layouts in our channel, because we can't today, and the workflow, so it doesn't apply to our channel, I think. There is no way to say, even with that workflow, create something in this part of the layout. So the workflow don't apply here, because our chart doesn't do that, doesn't have a notion of there is a part of a page. There is no such thing of a part of a page. There is a content part, which has nothing to do with a zone in the, there is no, doesn't work like that in our chart. What you could, maybe?
Another example, you make a document and then you say, please go to the image area to add an image. Say that to the user. Instead of a notification, redirect to another part of the admin.
Maybe have an activity that checks for some property to be filled.
Yeah, okay, so, yeah, but if you can see it in the editor, okay, well, it's kind of validation and next step, maybe, okay. So yeah, the idea would be using the decision task, which is a C# script. When it's published, let's check if there is an image. No, we could say notify, oh, please also provide an image because it's missing, or in 2 days we will need an image, so please do it now, something like that. So in this way, yes, but in the context of one content, for instance, if I create a page, like I type something, it triggers a workflow and it will say, oh, there is nobody, show something. But this would be a validation part. So you can validate using workflows, yes.
What he's trying to say is, we've got these nice messages up there saying this happened or that happened. Can we add actions to them? Tell the user, you've done this, now click here to add a new page, another page, do this, do that.
Yes, this is what I showed. The first thing I showed was that. So if you edit here, this thing is a notification, this is displaying a text, and this can also be a link if you want. So you could say this blah 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 and click here to do that next. Yeah. In this way, yes.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Sebastien. You should have seen Everyone in the room was very excited, and we had a lot of activity on Twitter as a response. So thank you so much.